Crysis 2 is the game I tend to go back to the most when it comes to Crysis. I never really went back to Crysis 3 that often. I think I've played it about 2, maybe 3 times. And weirdly enough, I got a review code to review Crysis 3 Remastered today, which is a bit odd since it released like a year or 2 ago now. But I never played the remasters, so I thought, why not? Let's just give it a shot. Let's see what they changed, let's see what they've improved upon, let's see what they've actually done with it. And honestly, they really didn't do too much, which to some people could be a good thing, and to some others, pretty bad. The changes that were made with the remaster did not really affect the gameplay at all for me. In fact, I wouldn't even say it affected the visuals. I played on PC, and I really could not tell much of a difference at all. Yeah, let's talk about the story first, the game length and stuff like that, because it's going to be quite a short review. Crysis 3 picks up pretty much right after Crysis 2 with that crazy ending that I will not spoil. This time you play as Prophet again, kind of. It's a bit tough to explain, but you play as a guy called Prophet from the original Crysis that I have still not played. I'm sorry, I have not played the original yet. I will eventually. And you're introduced to guys like Psycho, which apparently is also in the first game, I'm guessing, because they have a connection, and a few other side characters. But the first thing that will stick out once you complete Crysis 3 is how short it is. This is easily the shortest Crysis game. Crysis 2 wasn't like super long, but it was a good length, you know what I mean? It gave you enough time to like take in the sights, take in the story, and when it ends it kind of feels like, yeah, that's where it should end. It shouldn't go on any longer because the gameplay loop and stuff like that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But Crysis 3 it starts and then it ends. It's kind of crazy actually. The game length is probably about 4 hours, maybe 5 if I push it a little bit. It's very, very short, which makes the story extremely easy to talk about. The story is quite disappointing, to be honest. When it comes to Crysis 2, Crysis isn't known for like its amazing stories. Crysis 2 wasn't amazing, just nowhere near amazing, actually. But it was epic. It was a story that focused more on the plot rather than the characters. But here with Crysis 3, they do try to lean into the characters a lot more. In fact, that's kind of what the whole story relies upon, because other than that, there really is nothing else here. I mean, obviously you've got the end of the world trope that, these epic games are going to go down when it comes to story, but it doesn't even really feel that epic until the end of the game, the final mission, which, was actually really cool, especially with how, nuts they go with it. But as a story itself, it's really disappointing. You're going to take pretty much nothing away from this. I like what they tried to do with Psycho, but it just felt really forced because of how short the game is. Like, his development happens in literally minutes in some cases, which is a bit odd. And the character of Prophet, he doesn't really have much development at all. It's kind of like, oh, Seth, bad. Maybe I am Seth. No, I'm not Seth. Fuck Seth. Urgh. That's pretty much the story, unfortunately. But really, Crysis is all about the gameplay. And yeah, the gameplay is really good. Crysis 3's gameplay is basically Crysis 2, but they give you way more opportunities to actually experiment with the gameplay and the level design. The level design is just significantly more open. I don't think it's anywhere near as open as the original Crysis, because I heard that's pretty much an open world game, basically. I mean, it's not properly open world, I don't think, but don't quote me on that. But Crysis 3 has a lot more experimentation going on, which is good because of how short the game is. Most levels you can just run straight through and run and gun, but I definitely think you'd have more fun, stealthing about, experimenting, using different weapons, using different flanking opportunities and stuff like that. And they make it very clear that's what they want you to do, the developers anyway. Because they give you binoculars just like the Crysis 2 game, and they basically give you the options you have, which is often flanking or directly heading on or getting a rocket launcher and stuff like that. But those are just, guides, I guess. It's up to you whether you want to go down the guides or you want to just figure it out yourself, and I'd recommend figuring it out yourself. And the gunplay, guys, the gunplay is still so good. I have some people complain about the gunplay in the Crysis games, but I think it feels really good. It's got a nice bit of weight, there's a good amount of recoil, and there's a bunch of weapons you can choose from. Crysis 3, it was all about the bow because they added that in. For some reason, 2012, 2013, everyone was obsessed with bows. Far Cry added a bow. Far Cry 4 expanded on the bow. Tomb Raider, they had bows rather than dual pistols. Like, it was a weird time. People just liked bows. I guess it was new back then. So yeah, there is a very specific way they want you to play, because they often push the bow right in front of you. But don't let that discourage you from using other weapons, because the weapon variety is pretty good. The AI is really impressive as well. That's one thing I always complain about when it comes to like Ubisoft games, but the AI here, I don't think it's as smart as Crysis 2. I actually thought Crysis 2 had much smarter AI, but the AI here is still fantastic. You know, they're going to take cover, they're going to communicate, they're going to notice when you cloak, and they're going to try and EMP grenade you. It's really cool. They actually do like stuff that makes them seem human, which is good. Well, unless you find the aliens, but you know, that's a different topic. But overall, the AI is so much better than what you get today in, like, Call of Duty or, you know, Battlefield or whatever. It's like I always say, man, that everyone's so obsessed with visuals, they forget what's important about games, and that's interactivity, and AI is a big part of that, and it's just not innovating very much. Which, you know, just goes to show. This game came out in 2013, obviously it's remastered, but they didn't remaster it that much, and the AI is still better than 95% of the AAA stuff you're going to play today. I mean, look at Redfall. My god, that game looks absolutely atrocious. So yeah, that's all great. It's all dandy. AI is great. Gunplay is great. Level design, while being short, it's great. You know, it's the little things. It's quality over quantity, although, you know, you definitely want a bit more quantity than you get here, unfortunately. Also, the multiplayer was completely removed from the remaster. I am so sick and tired of seeing this. Crysis 2 remastered, no multiplayer. Crysis 3, no multiplayer. The Last of Us remake, that didn't get multiplayer. Pretty much every remaster just ignores multiplayer for some reason, despite it, you know, multiplayer being the thing these kinds of games live on. You don't just go back to the single player, you want to play the multiplayer, because I had a lot of fun on Crysis 3 when it comes to the multiplayer because of the bow, you know, the team deathmatch. And Crysis actually had quite a unique multiplayer to it before Call of Duty decided to go like advanced movement, and, you know, everyone and their mum went advanced movement. Crysis did it before all of these games, so there you go. But honestly, as a remaster, I do not think it's very good. I don't think they did enough. Which is unfortunate, because the actual game itself is still good, and not much does need to be changed. But if you're going to do a remaster, especially, you know, with a series like Crysis that is known for its visuals, you've got to bring your A game, and they didn't. I don't think it's a very good remaster. But it doesn't mean it's a bad game. I still enjoy it a lot, mainly because of the AI and the level design, but I'd still go back to Crysis 2 more than Crysis 3. So do I think Crysis 3 Remastered is worth buying in 2023? Not really. I'd buy the original. Just buy Crysis 3, not Remaster. You know what I mean? It's cheaper as well. But that's up to you. If you want an up-to-date game that's slightly updated, then buy the remaster. If you don't care, if you want the original experience, go buy the original. It's a hell of a lot cheaper. And well, it's basically the same game, okay? Anyway, this was a fun little video, not like a super in-depth review. I'm currently working on my Jedi Survivor review, so I thought I'd release something in the meantime, and everyone seemed to quite enjoy the Crysis 2 video, so I thought, why not? Let's do a Crysis 3, and I got a review code, weirdly enough. So yeah. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe. We just hit 20,000 subs. 20,000, man. 20,000. That's insane. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you for the Jedi Survivor review.